Good afternoon and welcome to everybody on this Thursday afternoon for the Stockwood CBS Cuppa Club, hosted by myself, Paul Pizzala at Ethex. So thank you very much for joining, and we're with Chris Burdett, Chair of Stockwood CBS, and Nikki Bainbridge, a director in the CBS and also intimately involved in the running of the organisation. So my name's Paul Pizzala, Senior Investment Manager at Ethex, and I've been working with the team at Stockwood for the past couple of years now, and on this latest part of their community share offer. So before starting, a bit of housekeeping to do, and to let you know that the Cuppa Club will run for about 30 minutes today. That will record the session and we'll get the highlights over to you in due course. And please do note that this isn't a financial promotion. And if you do need to seek advice, then please do talk to a financial advisor. So the Cuppa Club is always a really brilliant opportunity to meet the directors, Chris and Nikki, and to ask questions about Stockwood specifically, and especially the impact they're aiming to create and already have created because they've been around for a long time, and what they're aiming to achieve with this share offer. So please do ask questions in the chat box and we'll take those as we go along. So a little bit about Ethex. If you're not familiar with us, we're a leading UK impact investing platform. We've been around for over 10 years and helping people invest directly into organizations that create a positive social and environmental impact whilst targeting fair financial returns. And to date, we've raised more than 120 million for over 200 projects. And actually, Stockwood has been a long-standing client of Ethex. So we've been on the journey with Nikki and Chris and Seb and others over the years. And finally, before we get into the meat of the conversation, Stockwood are currently live on Ethex's platform with their community share offer, and this is supporting their journey to become a 100% community-owned farm and business partnership. So now we get to the interesting part of the Cuppa Club, and if I may ask Chris and Nikki to introduce themselves and cover what they do at Stockwood.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for inviting us to come and be part of this. It's always excellent to be able to talk about what we do and what have you. So I'm Chris Burdett. I'm the Chief Executive of Stockwood Community Benefit Society. Been the Chief Executive for the past 3 years now, but I've been part of the project since its formation in 2014. Yes, we live close by, so get to see all our lovely tenants most days and get to walk around the farm and make sure that everything's all in order, really.
Brilliant.
Yes, quite a privilege, isn't it? I'm Nikki Bainbridge, and I've been a director for, I don't know how long actually, quite a while, but 5 years maybe, yeah. I'd like to start by, for those of you who aren't that familiar with Stockwood, just giving you a bit of a rundown of what we do and what is involved. So, Stockwood Community Benefit Society, to give it its full name, is community-owned property and land trust. We're based around Rush Farm, which is in Worcestershire, very beautiful. And the key areas, the key components that make up Stockwood are, we have Rush Farm, which is 150 acres of biodynamic and organic farm. We focus on sustainable agriculture, and the farm is designed to be self-sustaining, promoting soil health and conservation and carbon sequestering. In the middle of it, we have Stockwood Business Park, which includes 27 units. We've got office and light industrial, and it supports probably about 100 people working here over a week. One of the things that we're very proud of is our renewable energy that we have here. we invested several years ago now in heat pumps, solar energy, and ground source heating. And that provides heating and cooling for the business park. And it's exciting, and it's a huge investment, and it's taken a lot of getting it to work. It needs, but anyway. Also, community engagement is the thing that we really enjoy and want to move more towards. I think we'd like to. We host regular activities. We'd like to get more into the education. I'd like to foster a sense of community and promoting environmental awareness. Some of the things that we do, foraging courses run quite regularly. We have orphan lambs that always need homes, and we send them at the moment to be therapy lambs. We can tell you more about that if you're interested. We this year started organic veg sales to local community and organic meat sales, and that includes a school supplying families at the school. We've started mindfulness breaks. You can come and stay at the farm. We have a shepherd's hut. We have various tents. And for some time now, we have worked with woofers who come.
That's willing workers on organic farms.
Yes, it is. Yes,
uninitiated.
On organic farms. Yes, it's a kind of worldwide thing, and you can look it up. And it's really good. It's really good because both ways, you learn from people who are coming to visit you, and they learn about farming from us. And we also, just one more thing to mention, there's probably loads more, is that we have vet students coming to work with us on the farm, placements as part of their training. Yeah, so at the moment we've got 500 members. They're contributing about 1.6 million. The first 9 years, everyone received a 5% return on their investment. And it's just our mission, really, environmental and social transformation. We're absolutely committed to creating positive ecological and social impacts. And it's a tough world to be doing it in, but I think it's more important than ever that we do this.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, brilliant, Nikki. Thank you. Like your passion speaks volumes, and we will kind of like get into some more of the detail. But before I do that, Justin from Bath UK says, delighted to be here. I've done quite a bit of impact investing, but never seen the opportunity to invest in organic farming. So this is special to me. So thank you very much for that comment, Justin.
Welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
Feel free to ask any more questions as we go along. So one person who unfortunately couldn't make it today is Ben from Resonance. So Resonance has been also your partner from 2014 at Stockwood, Chris. And for the people on the call that don't know Resonance is a social investment organization that has been around for longer than Ethex, and they provide a lot of the support work in terms of financial modeling and planning and that sort of thing. So just to say to the folks on the call that we all know farmers are very, very busy people. Not only are they looking after the business, the land, the people, they're also fixing the roof, the tractor. And so, really important that there's a good collection of stakeholders and partners around Stockwood to be able to deliver what we're delivering today. So that's just a mention of Ben and Resonance's involvement there. So kind of going back to the script a little bit, this is the latest offer. This latest share offer, sorry, Chris, is the next step for Stockwood CBS to become 100% community owned. So it'd be interesting to know how much of the community owns the organisation today, and can we cover where you are on that journey, what your plans are, and the reasons why it's so important for the CBS, for you, for your stakeholders, for the farm to become 100% community owned?
Absolutely, thank you. Yes. So we are in a second phase of our fourth share offer. And we are currently just over half owned by the community, and the other half by there's a mortgage from CAF Bank, Charity Aid Foundation Bank, who again we've worked with since the beginning. And just going back to what Paul was saying about stakeholders and partners that we've worked with, residents have been a great support to us over the years. We've worked with them from the beginning. CAF Bank as well have been really good, and we've worked with them from the beginning, along with Ethex, all champions in their field, and we've really felt the benefits of that over the years. So yes, we're in the second phase of our fourth share offer. We've got a target of £100,000 in this share offer. Our ultimate aim is to raise about 1.5 million in the next 18 months, 2 years, something like that. And that will mean that we are totally released from our mortgage, be 100% owned by the community. And that makes a huge difference for what we can do for the community. I think everyone knows interest rates on mortgages are significantly higher now than when we started. We started in 2014. And yeah, the interest rates went up a couple of years ago. And instead of giving that, as much as I like CAF Bank, I don't like giving them quite as much money as we do. I'd much prefer that go to the communities who are supporting this and who want to be co-owners in a lovely part of Worcestershire countryside and supporting social impact. The money that we raise, again, I think I've already alluded, it is going to go to becoming that 100% owned. So it's paying down any bank debt, any loans and things like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so 50% today community owned. Change in financial environments, and so the ambition to be 100% owned in 2 to 3 years' time, in order to bring more members on board, who can play a part.
And that being the most important part is the community. The bigger the community, we're better together than apart, as the saying goes. And yes, every member of the community brings something to us, and hopefully we bring something to them as well. But yes, the bigger the community, the better.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
we
brilliant.
can achieve so much more if there's more of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Many hands make light work, as the saying goes.
Yes.
And then can I just pick up a quick question in the chat box from Yvonne? So Yvonne says, and this is probably a question for FX actually, but Chris or Nikki, if you know the answer, then feel free to do so. And Yvonne says, can a company invest or just individuals in the CBS?
So it's a very interesting question, and something that I've really been trying to work on in the space as well. Forgive me, Paul, if I'm going off piste a bit, but the short answer is yes. A company can invest in the CBS, and there is a reason why I've been thinking about this, and it's an interesting that you raised the question anyway, because people work in companies, and the people who work in companies want to work more importantly for companies that do right by the world as well. And we feel that we can support some organizations in doing that, for organizations that are maybe, stuck in a city center or something like that, and in a high-rise building and what have you, to be able to have a collaboration with an organization that says, bring your team to the farm for a day and come and see what regeneration looks like. Come and see what it is to see what a veg box scheme looks like. See seeds being planted and getting harvested and what have you. Because there's lots of people in the world that don't have ready access to this, and that's something that we want to share with the world. And also, one of my little little projects that I'm working on the side as a seed in my mind is I think organizations when they making their yearly budget or whatever, my challenge to them is they come to the farm with a pen and paper, they leave all their tech at the farm gate, and they go and make their business plan in the wood, and see how different that would be to the business plan that they make in the office. And I'm sure there's good and bad bits of both. But together, I think it would be an amazing.
Well, I think what you're getting at, Chris, is so the prosaic answer is yes, a company can invest in CBS, and the slightly more philosophically and deeply rooted answer is that being in a natural environment can help to shift and shape your thinking in terms of what you want your organization to achieve.
Yes, and it's every person within that organization that gets to feel part of that as well. I think there's definitely a sense of people work for companies and what have you, and they have a sense of pride in the companies that they work for, and this sort of cascades down another level.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we see in abundance at Stockwood, is the pride that you take in what you do. So you're sort of a living example of what you're helping others to do. So that's really fantastic.
Just to say that there's already a lot of links between our business park tenants and the space that we inhabit. There's a lot of people will spend time with the lambs, or they will just walk at lunchtime, or they will go and sit by the pond and have their lunch. So there's a lot of interaction there already between business and us, but maybe on a slightly different level. But
I mean, look, happy tenants, happy customers, right? So there is definitely a business logic in that. But I do think it's it's sort of like quite important for the investors on this call and potential investors to kind of understand the operating performance of Stockwood and how it all fits together. So actually, can we just hold? I'm going to hold that thought, because we've just got a question from Justin, which might better articulate what I was trying to say. So he says, people often talk about how hard it is to make a profit in farming. To what extent is the farm able to contribute to your aim of a 5% return, or does profit come primarily from the industrial estate? And let's just rephrase industrial estate. It's a business park, isn't it? And also apologizes for not doing his homework, as he only discovered the webinar last night.
That's great.
Do you need to read that again, or have you got the gist, Chris and Nikki?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we can work with that. So yes, Stockwood CBS is a blended model between business park, commercial units, and the farm. So the farm itself is actually tenanted. So the farmer pays a rent to Stockwood for the use of the land. The farmer and Stockwood CBS has a special relationship in that the farmer has to farm a biodynamic organic farm and work on those principles. But yes, the farmer does provide into the rent roll essentially, alongside the 27 business units that are a mixture of light industrial and offices. Absolutely right that the lion's share of the revenue comes from the offices and the light industrial part of the business, but everything tries to do its little bit that it can to put into the pot for Stockwood.
Yeah, it's kind of in that respect not always about the money, but maybe about one person is helping somebody else out. So between the farm and the
and the other stakeholders,
sense, but
that's right. So the farmers and the people who are involved in the farm have the same ethics and principles as the CBS in the way we want to do, and that collaboration is we want to do a day on the farm as Stockwood. We work with the farmer to make that happen, and that's never a problem.
That's what I was trying to say.
So there's some real synergies in terms of how you all work together and quite tangible as well in terms of the impacts and benefits that it has on people and businesses. So, I mean, just to recap, the lion's share of the revenue comes from light industrial and the office units. Can you just sort of like walk us through the operating performance post-COVID? Because I know you've sort of bounced back quite strongly since then. So just, kind of paint that picture for the investors if you can, please, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID was a particularly tough time. Although having said that, it was a little bit post-COVID. I called it the COVID flu, just because of the way things like leases worked and what have you. But we did. Some people chose to change their way they worked, and they went back to their home offices and downsized and things like that. But we were lucky; we did bounce back quite quickly, and we fully let now and have been for a little while now. There's been a couple of changes of tenants on the business park, but we are 100% let again, and that's really really positive. I think it says a lot about the type of business park that we are, that people want to be here. We do have a relationship with an agent, and the first question I ask him when I do see him is, what's the market like on commercial terms and what have you. He always seems to suck his breath through his teeth and says, well, this park has got this much empty and what have you. So we do seem to be able to punch above our weight on that level, in that we do provide a good product for people to want to come and work in the countryside.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I think that's an excellent example of 100% tenancy. It's fantastic, and it wouldn't surprise. I mean, I know it's like working from home and working from environments that aren't as rich in nature and community as Stockwood, and that I think you said it well. It helps to sell a really good quality product, so that's brilliant. Another question from Justin: can you give some examples of the types of businesses that rent in a business park? Are they also aligned in the values of doing good in the world? And is there a requirement to pass some kind of values alignment test to be in the business park? So I'm sorry if that one's caught you on the hop a little bit, but I think it's a fabulous question. So
yeah,
thanks.
absolutely. Happy to take it. So we don't have a entrance exam to the business park, as one might say. There aren't any criteria that you have to pass to be a tenant on the business park. Our view for that is that we've got to take people on a journey, and if we can show them on a little insight of someone who perhaps doesn't really sign up to our values and doing good in the world, well, then we can show them here, and hopefully that's one person changed for the better. In terms of the businesses that are here, they range considerably. We have accountants, we have stationery designers, we have fabric people who make quilts and cushions and what have you. We have people that design and interior design. Yeah, that's right. We've got someone who does little motorbikes. They sell motorbikes and things, refrigeration. So yes, there's a whole diverse range, which is great because by it being a diverse range of companies, they more often than not go and talk to each other, and some use each other's services and etc. But yes, it's what creates a nice community.
Yeah, thriving community, and of course it gives you portfolio diversification in terms of the tenant base, which is obviously an important part of the resilient operating model.
It's an interesting thing. So I've been part of this since 2014, and we do seem to go through phases of industry. So at one stage there was a lot of skincare or things around skincare, and at the moment we seem to be in the sort of interior design, fabric, haberdashery type phase. It's very interesting how there are some attractions to when one company here, a similar one does seem to come. But yes, we do seem to go through phases every now and again.
Yeah, interesting, good. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about this what does Stockwood do differently? And it's in some ways it's the way that you brought different disciplines together, farming and a business park and renewable energy, so that when you look at the whole, it's very different, although the parts themselves might not be so different. But I think just to talk a little bit about why is biodynamic so sustainable? Why is that so important to you and to Stockwood, and why is that mission of farming in that way enshrined in the CBS's articles or mission or wherever that lives?
Yeah. So yes, biodynamic
Maybe you
agriculture.
could tell people a little bit about your life as a farmer.
Goodness me.
without running into without running into too much into lunchtime.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I was brought up in agriculture back in Africa. I've always been very close to agriculture through my life. Moved to this country in the early 2000s, and yes, found myself at Stockwood, where the family at the time were talking about Stockwood as a community asset locked project. It piqued my interest, and I'm still here. But in terms of the methods of farming, organic biodynamic farming is one that works with nature. We're trying to leave it better than when we found it, as a general principle. So we don't always get it right. Sometimes we do get it wrong, but it's just we try and graze the land in such a way that that we're not taking too much out, so that the land can regenerate. Some of the key markers that we're looking for was organic matter in the soil. I started farming this farm in 2005, and when we took on the land in 2005, the organic matter across the farm was around about 2-3%. And now we're up around between 10 and 15%, depending on which fields we're looking at. And that, if anyone's done a carbon sequestration calculator, will know that it is sequestering a lot of carbon by having that amount of organic matter in the soil. But as a person who farms, we have extra time on the land. We can leave the animals out for longer because it has a much better carrying capacity. The pastures recover much quicker. They're more resilient in drought. And all of these things tie together to make it a lot more efficient and effective. And we're not doing it at the expense of the wildlife. We're working with the wildlife and the natural ecosystems of this area. So we've got hares running around the field, we've got barn owls nesting in trees, everywhere you see butterflies and what have you, are present here. And there's a lot more that we can do, because no 2 years are the same in farming, as I'm sure people know, and every year you get to learn something new. And obviously weather plays a key part, and I don't think anyone can argue that weather has changed. Certainly in the decade that I've been here, we get much longer, drier spells in the summer now. We've had more flooding in recent years than we did in the early years that I was here. But these all provide resilience to be able to cope with those effects, and we can bounce back much faster from some of those things.
Yeah, yes, because having healthy soil means it not only drains quicker, but it retains more as well. So sort of counterintuitively, it actually is more resilient to both drought and flood.
When I don't know how you would be able to perform such an experiment, but what I would love to try as an experiment, if you had a flooded field, if you flooded one of our fields and saw what the water that came off of it, I'd like it to see it to be clear water. And in other words, it hasn't taken away all the topsoil with it, and it hasn't taken away all the nutrients and what have you from that particular field. It's the water's just simply filtered through the field and moved on away. Seeing brown rivers always, I hold my head in my hands just because, you know, that's the farmers.
Yeah. And I think this is like it's so important to have organizations like Stockwood thriving, because you know you guys are the pioneers, and now we need the early adopters to come along to see how it's done. So it's so important that you guys continue to do what you're doing.
Sorry, Paul. Another anecdote that I just have to share. So when we first took on the farm, so this farm has been organic since 2007, and we got a local contractor, conventional contractor, to help us get going. And we had meetings with him in the beginning and what have you, and saying, this is how we want to do it organically and all the rest of it. And he sort of looked across the table and said, you're mad. But the thing that I'm most proud of is he's a farmer now with organic land in his own stewardship. And he's seen what happens here, and he's been able to say, right, I can see this in my own world. And he's got his own organic farm now. And for me, that's brilliant. A hardened conventional farmer who does still do conventional farming, but he's got organic alongside it as well, and he can see the benefits of it.
That's brilliant. That's awesome. And hopefully he's telling all his mates as well.
Absolutely.
So a question from Ian. So I'm going to ask this question, and then we're getting to the point where we're going to wrap up. Ian says, I recall from the webinar in November 2023 that the accounts show the value of the farm and assets was much greater than the shares and debt. Is that still the case?
Yes, absolutely. It is still the case. And I think you'll probably remember from that webinar again, you know, we're on that same journey of being 100% community owned. And as 100% community owned, the debt that's in the business is still the asset is still greater than that anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So yeah. Okay. So I hope that answered your question, Ian. And then, Ian, if you do want to follow up with any more detail, feel free to get in contact with Ethex, help@ethex.org.uk. I don't know if somebody can type that. Don't worry about that. We'll in our communications after this, we'll get that through to you. But really do encourage people to ask questions, and you know, either Ethex will field them or we'll get in contact with Chris and Nikki and Ben at Resonance, of course. So, okay, this is it, the big moment where you do your call to action. Do you have any final messages to potential investors in Stockwood, and also, you know, to existing investors in Stockwood?
Oh me, goodness me! I call to action. Right. Come and join us. It's amazing.
Yes,
we're transforming stuff.
You carry on. Sorry, you carry on. You go.
I don't know. I'm passionate about it. We really do invite you to be part of the journey with us. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to show you around the farm, show you around the business park, see what it's all about. And then I know you'll join us.
Yeah, I think hopefully, you know, we've done a new video that is on the Ethex website. There's others to come over the coming weeks as well to show you a little bit of how the farm actually looks in video rather than pictures. And yes, I mean, co-own Rush Farm is basically it. Own little piece of England yourself.
Brilliant. I do have a question from Maureen. What I'm going to do, Maureen, if you're still there, is I'm going to field this one offline, and we'll get back to you directly to answer your question. But to everybody that's asked a question, thank you so much, because it really does help to make these sessions more lively and interactive. And Maureen's just said fine, thank you. So we'll get back to you. Finally, you know, another thank you to Chris and Nikki. And also thanks to everybody online in the audience for taking part. Just to say, the offer is live on Ethex's website, ethex.org.uk. Look up Stockwood. Thanks once again, and just remains for Chris and Nikki to say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much for your time and taking the time to listen to us, and we look forward to seeing you at Stockwood fairly soon.
Yes, thank you very much. Even though we didn't meet you, it's good to meet you.